Good morning, submarine friends. Welcome back to watching me build my diesel electric submarine. I have some pretty fantastic news here. I'm so pleased with what I've done. First of all, I went to Premier Lake to investigate the boat launch because it's my favorite lake to test in. There's acres and acres of lake that are 10, 15 feet deep with a beautiful bottom, and it's just really nice place to test. It's really safe, nice launch. The problem is the water depth is not sufficient to launch the submarine. So what I've concluded is, excuse me, I went out to the lake and I measured the depth. I got in my kayak. My wife helped me with a rope and the measuring stick and whatnot. And 28 feet from the water's edge, it's 57 inches deep. Now, 57 inches is not enough water to float the submarine off the trailer, unless the trailer is a tilt deck trailer. Now, excuse me, I'm not about to run out and buy a new tilt deck trailer. They're about $14,000. So I thought, well, why don't I just tilt my trailer? Well, that'll work. I don't need a tilt deck trailer if I can just tilt the whole trailer. So I modified my hitch, my fantastic hydraulic steering extender for maneuvering in really tight spaces, which I've demonstrated a couple of times now, particularly at White Swan Lake when we recovered the submarine. So let me just explain how it works first. Then I'll demonstrate it. Originally, the extender had an electric hydraulic pump in that wooden box behind the winch. Excuse me. So I removed that electric hydraulic pump. Well, I haven't removed it yet. I disconnected it so far. And I tied in to the hydraulics for the crane. So there's a 5.5 horsepower Honda hydraulic power pack that I put together, and that runs the crane. So because the electric system can only run one cylinder, and I need 2 cylinders now, I just installed the hydraulic valve that I had here. I just had to go buy some fittings and a couple hoses, and I've got it all rigged up now. So I'm going to start up the engine and show you. Okay, so this is what we have here. So there's a pin that goes in right at the bottom. Let me just show you how it works. Now, isn't that nice? So now when I want to steer the trailer, and I don't steer and lift at the same time. So I have to put a pin in right here to lock this arm to the main assembly, because it would be too much torque exerted on that connection. So now it's connected at both ends, making it really solid. So the other thing I did is I put the hitch part on a downward angle. Now that's beneficial because it was too high before and we had to really crank up the trailer with all that hitch weight. It was tough, so we had to raise the trailer just to get the extender connected to the trailer. So now the hitch is lower, so we don't have to lift the trailer that much. Now watch it steer. So that part is unchanged. So isn't this fantastic? So this means by lifting this assembly, I can drop the back of the trailer right to the ground. Now the way that it'll work is I'll back into the water as far as I can with the truck, and then the submarine will be very light because it's trying to float, but it can't float off the trailer. So then I tip the trailer and I just release the winch and let it slowly roll off into the water. And because the back of the trailer is about 16 inches lower than when it's riding level on the deck, there's enough water for it to just float right off, because the submarine has roller wheels under it. So as long as the front roller wheel makes contact with the deck, I can load it up. So now to recover the submarine, we just back in we tilt the trailer up, we get the front roller started onto the deck of the trailer, we start winching, and at the same time we can start lowering this hitch assembly until the trailer is completely level and the submarine is all the way on. Now, I was encouraged at White Swan Lake with the strength and pulling ability of the winch. I'm not encouraged with this rope that's on here. That's coming off. I've got lots of steel cable here, brand new stuff. I'm going to put that on the winch. I just like it better. This rope is already deteriorating, so I think it's going to work really well. And actually, I do have a problem, I have to admit. I didn't know how much pressure and performance my little pump gives me, because it's just a pump I've had on the shelf for 25 years. So now I know that cylinder is not going to work. I just borrowed that cylinder off of my little excavator that I stripped. Well, actually I stole it, I didn't borrow it. And so because of this location, it doesn't have enough power to raise the trailer sitting on land. It would do it in the water, and it would do it just fine. I mean, it just about can lift it right now. I have to help it with the crane, my 10-ton crane. I just parked it beside, and that helped to lift it just so I could see how it cycles through, no problem. So what I did, I ordered a new hydraulic cylinder. The reason it's not powerful enough is the location, and that's because the cylinder's too long. So I ordered a shorter cylinder that'll go for the same pin mount, and I'll make a new pin mount right here, and I'll gusset this. I'm not happy with this connection. I think it needs a big gusset. So I'll gusset that, and that gusset will become the new pin location. And so now I am doubling the lifting force. So I did the math on it. I just measured the distance from the ball to the pivot point, and right now it's at like 1/3, and it's going to move to 2/3. Anyways, the math works out that it's almost exactly 2 times plus a little bit more powerful. So I think that's fantastic, and that's how fast the engine has to run. It can sit and run like that all day long. Doesn't bother anything. So, and now it's not electric. That's the only downside. So that means somebody has to be back there and run the controls. And I'm missing the levers, so I have to make some new levers. I've just got a screwdriver stuck in there right now to run it. But isn't this terrific? So that's how high it has to lift. It lifts a lot higher, and I don't need that. That's why a shorter cylinder is just fine, because again, it'll go from same pin location to here. I only need a 10-inch stroke cylinder, and that'll fit right in there, and that's like a 20-inch stroke cylinder, and I don't need it. But it's what I have here, and I try to utilize what I have. It just saves some money and also time. So now I can, while I'm waiting for that cylinder to arrive, which is Monday, today I think is Wednesday. This stuff usually comes a little quicker on Amazon. I'm going to start focusing on that exhaust valve on the Submarine, which is the reason I brought the Submarine home. So what I've been doing is I've been pressure testing that valve, and so I put air pressure to the valve. So I took the exhaust system off, and I put a fitting on the valve with an air chuck, and I put soapy water on top of the valve, and to see if the air pressure would push that water through the valve. But it's only a little bit of water, so it won't make it to the engine. And so I actually haven't checked because I've been so focused working on this. I had this idea, I just had to build it right away. So that's how I am. So anyways, I will now, while I wait for that cylinder, I'll now focus on that valve, and I should be able to get back into the water at Premier Lake here shortly. I may have to wait until after the Labor Day weekend, which is another week away, and that's because it's going to be really busy out there, but that'll die right off after that weekend because all the kids go back to school. So that's the plan. I really like this. I just love it. I love stuff like this. So that's going to be it, guys. Ciao for now.